Back in the day, I used to make videos, not tutorials, but entertainment videos of me documenting the process making different items, and this vest came out of it. It's been crowned the snack vest because I made it to hold all my nostalgic snacks. People have been asking, I don't have a tutorial out for this yet, but if you stay tuned by following my Instagram or my TikTok at glory.allan, if I do eventually drop something, whether it's a tutorial or whether it's like the vest already made ready to sell for pre-order, then that's where the info will be. But instead, I wanted to start with just a video reviewing the design. I think if you're a designer and you're hearing the backstory for this vest, you'll pick up on some small details that you might want to incorporate in your own designs. And then I think if you're someone who really likes fashion, then you'll appreciate the backstory of the vest, learning about the different designs, the purposeful designs and intention behind every little detail. So I want to share some perspective that I have with a bit of a sewing background. So there'll probably be 4 parts to this video. First being like a general overview of the vest, my thoughts, feelings, inspiration behind the design. And then secondly will be my thoughts shared about the design process, like actually crafting it, what challenges I ran into and how I overcame them. And then thirdly, some outfits that might look decent with this vest. And then lastly, some advice if you were to recreate this yourself, what you could expect and what's going to help you recreate it. Okay, so about this vest, there's 2 things I wanted to lay out. One, it was designed with the challenge of holding all my snacks. I guess I was mad hungry back then, but every pocket was made with a snack in mind. And then 2, it was constructed without a sewing pattern. So creating that off-centered zipper was probably one of the more tricky parts, and it's something that I'll talk about later in the design. What I'm most proud of from this design is the chopstick pocket, because it was purposely put behind the zipper so it keeps the chopsticks nice and centered to your body. Since it's such a long piece, anywhere else it would just create a certain shape. By keeping it centered on the chest, it's somewhere where it's always going to be flat. It is behind the zipper so it stays clean from like germs and outdoor debris. And then second would be the boba pocket, which is a crazy design to have it sit perfectly, to have it not tip over, but also not be complex, which I'll get into further details on the construction of that. And the off-centered zipper, because not only is the zipper off-centered, but where the 2 front panels meet is centered to my face. So there's all these different considerations when making that off-centered vest, which I freestyled, by the way, that just made it like when I saw it meet in the middle of my chest, I was just like, boom, that's it. That's a win right there. Now let's share some insights on the design process of making this vest. I didn't have a sewing pattern for this, so what I did was I took a jacket, traced it, just didn't include the arms, and that was the basis of my vest. The tricky part was making the off-centered zipper because the panels for my jacket are symmetrical. So what I did was I made the back, and then the front panels I made, but I extended them like a lot longer than they were so that they overlap each other. I'm going to re-illustrate this using this miniature vest pattern that I cut out. So imagine this light beige vest is the symmetrical half of the front panel. I made a second panel, but instead of cutting it down the middle to make it symmetrical, I extended it. What this allowed me to do is put the green one on top, which is the longer extended version because it's going to overlap on the smaller vest, and then decided where I wanted the vest to end. And sometimes it takes a little bit, so I would cut a piece, check on it, try it on, didn't think it was short enough, so I would take it, cut it again until I found the right length, knowing that I had to add a seam allowance. Once the length was complete, I wanted to cut the edge because if I were to add a zipper right now, the zipper would go all the way up to my collar, and I wanted it a bit lower. So what I did was had the final length, took my scissors, and just trimmed the corner down to an angle that made sense for me. Another small detail is this pocket. I added a little pinch or dart on the bottom corner of the pocket, and what that does is it gives the pocket a little bit more shape and 3-dimensional. Again, to illustrate, here is what it would look like without that pinch, just flat with my chest. You could see from the side angle, again, just a flat pocket. But by adding that little dart or that pinch where you just sew a little bit up, it now controls the shape of the pocket and gives the pocket more depth. Now when it's on my chest, when it's on the vest, the bottom corner pops out, and now you've added extra dimension to your pocket and also controlled a little bit of the design. A tiny detail in part, but adds to the sum of the vest. And then the center box pocket, arguably the trickiest part, and it's because I wanted to make sure that it would hold the boba upright. The fun thing about being in design is that there's probably a million ways to tackle this challenge. You can use cord lock, you can use Velcro, but ultimately there's more than one option that'll work. And the design that moves forward is ultimately based on the designer's criteria. Is it going to be based on looks? Is it going to be based on materials that they've worked with in the past, materials that they really like to work with, how intuitive the design is? There's so many different criteria, and it's all based on the personality and preferences of the designer. But again, that's the cool part, is that there's so many ways to tackle this, and this is just one way of tackling it. There's two details about my design that I want to highlight. One, I had the zipper go from the base all the way around to the other side of the base. And two, I had an elastic built in from the top to hold in the cup. So why does the zipper need to go all the way around from starting at the base? By having it start at the base, this allows the cup to sink in fully to the bottom and essentially bottom out on the pocket. And that's important to me because I want it to be fully seated in the pocket. I don't want it to look like it's half in there. I want it to be snug right at the bottom so that the pocket contorts to the shape of the cup. Typically when you see these box pockets, the zipper only goes down halfway. So I'm going to show you why that wouldn't work for this situation. When the zipper only goes halfway, the bottom half of the pocket is then limited to the depth of that panel. So if you have a cup, which I'm going to illustrate with this foam roller, if it's bigger than that bottom piece, then it won't sink all the way. It'll only fit as far as the fabric itself will stretch. You can see right now that the foam roller fits to the extent of the zipper, but it won't go past the zipper because that panel that creates the depth of the pocket limits the size that the whole bottom half can stretch to. Also, something worth noting is look at how weird this looks. So even if I got it deep enough, but not all the way, it changes the shape of the pocket, which would be weird to have like a slimmer bottom half and a bigger top half. So in my pocket, the zipper goes all the way from the base around, and now this cup can fit all the way down, snug at the bottom. There's no excess because it can't stretch, and the pocket contorts to the shape of the cup. It's fully seated at the bottom, and even if you look at the sides, like the shape of the pocket is now more flush with the vest. It's not got that slimmer base and the wider top, which would just give it a weird angle. Now that alone wouldn't keep the cup upright because the pocket flap would just fall over when the cup's in there. So I added elastic at the top. Now the elastic is sewed in at the very top corner, giving me the highest height that I could possibly have to support the cup. And then it being elastic, as long as I have a shorter elastic than the actual cup, then the elastic will stretch when the cup's in there, thus giving it a more snug hold. And now the cup won't move as much. The higher you could support the cup, the less likely it is to tip over or tip around. So even with a lot of movement, if you have a cup in there while you're walking, it'll stay snug to your chest instead of whiplashing left and right as your chest moves. And now fits that you could wear with the snack vest from a very limited wardrobe. The first fit is just like standard Converse high tops. I got a pair of black denim. These are a little bit slimmer than I would have wanted, but I do like the fact that they're extra long, so I like the large cuff at the bottom. And I got the white boxy tee underneath. The second fit, it's a little bit more cleaner. I have a pair of pants that I made way back in the day. I got some all white Zespas. I got a white long sleeve from Blessed Burdens, and I got some chains, the usual accessories. So this look just a little bit more lively. Not really my style, but something I could wear. If I'm feeling good, confident on a day, yeah, sure, I'll rock this. If you want to add a little bit more color to the outfit, then I got these green tactical pants, which kind of match the tactical feel of the vest. And I've got beige Converse, which match the beige vest. For this one, I wanted to add some color with the green, so I added a yellow Glory Allan Lucky Day cap. It's a trucker cap with kind of like an old vintagey feel. and that one was decent, but I kind of like the green pants with a blue top or a yellow top. This has been my like go-to color palette lately. And then you could switch that long sleeve to a hoodie, white tee underneath, very clean. Put the vest on top, same cap. I would say the tactical pants with the tactical vest is a little bit much for me. It's a little bit extra, but it's hard for me to find these green pants that are not tactical, but I still want to rock. I haven't found a good pair of green pants. These are my favorite pants. It's got a comfortable waistband. It's got a good amount of pockets, good look. But yeah, the tactical top and bottom are a little bit much for me, but the color matches nicely, so that's my fit. And if you want to recreate this yourself, I would definitely suggest getting the bias tape tool makers. This is how I hid the top raw edge on the collar, but also the pocket, the chopstick pocket. I'll have a link below for those bias tape tool makers, which I would suggest because it's going to be hard to find a bias tape already made that matches the color of the vest. And for me, I wanted a tonal bias tape, so making your own bias tape with the tools is super clutch. If you don't know about them, now you know, and they'll change your life. If you're gonna try to make the off-centered zipper, then I would suggest going about it in a longer process by creating the vest itself first with symmetrical front panels, and then after you're done that, use one of the front panels and recreate a new panel, but just extend the edge, and then have your off-center vest. Because one of the difficult parts, which I didn't mention earlier, is that when this vest is zipped up, that the corners of the collar actually meet centered, and that's kind of difficult because you have to extend the left side and the right side and make sure that the overlapping panel is not too off-centered. It still has to sit perfectly centered at the middle. I would have also changed it from a two-way zipper to a one-way zipper because I think that off-centered zipper, giving it that extra top opening and bottom opening, would just like add that little cherry on top of the vest. Those are my 2 cents on the snack vest. Stay updated by following my Instagram if you want to hear updates if I eventually drop the tutorial or I make a ready to wear drop, like a pre-order. Y'all want to stay connected, hit me up on Instagram because that's usually where I share a lot of my info, or TikTok, same handle at glory.allan. For other projects to start on, if you're a beginner, you're learning how to sew, check out my GA000 playlist. It's a playlist full of tutorials. It's got free PDF patterns. It's got DIY kits if you're new to sewing, you're not really sure the fabric and the materials and notions to buy. Check that out. And until next time, peace.